Makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good. Block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30.
Welcome to the Fins Tailgate. It's where we elevate. Miami Dolphins talk, yeah, we never hesitate. Breaking news, hot takes, we keep it up to date. And when the fans speak up, the panel resonates. We live that aqua and orange from the field to the mic. Breaking down the plays, man, we talk it every night. From Tua to the defense, you know we keep it tight. NFL moves, you know we got the insight. We open up the floor, yeah, it's your time to shine. Fans drop the heat with opinions realigned. You got concerns, bring them, we're gonna chime. The Fins Tailgate's where we keep it prime. Welcome to the Fins Tailgate, it's where we elevate. Miami Dolphins talk, yeah, we never hesitate. Breaking news, hot takes, we keep it up to date. And when the fans speak up, the panel resonates. The NFL's changing, but we stay on the grind. Latest breaking stories, we don't waste no time. From the trades to the rumors, we make them all align. At the Fins Tailgate, we always on the climb. We're repping the Dolphins, but it's NFL-wide. From South Beach to the league, we keep it worldwide. Got the fans engaged with the energy supplied. Come kick it at the tailgate, we're riding high tide. Welcome to the Fins Tailgate, it's where we elevate. Miami Dolphins talk, yeah, we never hesitate. Breaking news, hot takes, we keep it up to date. And when the fans speak up, the panel resonates. So if you love the game, you know we got the gate. Tune in, speak out, don't wait, it's your fate. This is the Fins Tailgate, now watch us dominate. Miami Dolphins, NFL, yeah, we integrate.
What is happening, Dolphin fans? And welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate with your host, El Capitan. Tonight, on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, we're going to go through some of the stuff that's been going on. You know, I haven't been on in the last couple of days doing the tailgate show. It's been a busy week. But, you know, we've hired a GM. I'm sure you guys know. John Eric Sullivan, not the guy I wanted. I wanted to get Chad Alexander because then I wanted Harbaugh, and that is not the situation that we're finding ourselves in, Dolphin fans. So I'm going to go through the situation of what's happened and what's happening and what's going on, and you know, just a little bit of what catch us up, right? Let's get caught up. Let's get everything up to date, find out what the hell's going on, what direction is this team going in. It's just not the greatest directions I could feel like right now. I mean, let's be real. It was widely reported and, you know, talked about Mike McDaniel is staying with the team, and, you know, and then he's going to be a part of the GM search, and then John Harbaugh gets let go on like a Tuesday night from the Ravens, and on a Thursday morning, Mike McDaniel's fired. Then they hire this GM, and the rest is history. Hit the like button, guys, on the way in. I'm going to get right into it. Shout out to everybody in chat right now. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, subscribing if you're new, if you're watching on X, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you're taking the program, cup on a string, message in a bottle, smoke signals, however you're enjoying the Fins Tailgate program. Make sure you guys are coming over to YouTube, hitting the like button, and subscribing over here on YouTube. So let's just get right into this, right? Like, just a lot to get through right now. Let's I guess we'll start it at the top, right? Stephen Ross misses on getting Harbaugh. The second Harbaugh tried for Jim, now tried for John, and 3 strikes, you're out, right? Tried for Jim Harbaugh twice. Most recently, whatever. And then now tried for John. And, for all this talk of him being close with the Harbaughs and the Harbaugh family, doesn't look like they like him too much. Doesn't look like they enjoy the way in which Stephen Ross and his Miami Dolphins are being held. Doesn't look like that's the place they want to go because by all accounts there was lots of reporting coming out that the Dolphins are all in. Oh, what's up, Tom?
What's up? I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
You sound really rough right now, buddy. Really rough. Yeah, you need to drop out and come back because your connection's terrible. Yeah, it sounded terrible. Sounded like he was calling from Mars or something. So anyhow, yeah, John Harbaugh ends up getting the Giants job. Takes the Giants job. And why? Well, I'll tell you why. Dolphins fans seem to think that because we have a coaching vacancy that everybody wants to come here. We've got a list of guys that we're interviewing, guys that we've already interviewed. And I'm going to go through all that stuff. But why did we fire Mike McDaniel at all? That's the question I want to know. Well, for what purpose? To me, it only looks like, yeah, it sounded like he was calling from a printer, Nightwolf. It seems to me that the only reason that the Dolphins had any interest on firing Mike McDaniel is because Harbaugh became available, and they thought, oh my God, this is a match made in heaven. We love Harbaugh's here. Pause. And then it just, I told you guys last time you guys see me on the Fins tailgate that if the Dolphins do not hire Chad Alexander and hire a different GM, I think we're completely out of the Harbaugh running. And I think not 24 hours later, we hire Eric Sullivan. And I was like, well, that's it. Harbaugh ain't coming. And now he's today, this morning, officially is signed with the Giants. They've worked it out. It's a done deal. So Harbaugh's gone. Now, Mike Tomlin's out there. For all you guys that don't know, Mike Tomlin let go by the Steelers. There's been reports that he wants to be in a more fair weather joint, right? As far as warmer weather climate after spending, most of his career with the Steelers there, coaching with them and in the cold weather. So Dolphins like, oh my God, that means us. That means us. That means us. But then there's also reports that he plans to not rush into any of this, that he's going to, chill, hang time with the family. There's a lot of people that believe that he might take a year off. I don't know. I don't. It's not unheard of, right? Especially, but I can't imagine him taking a year off. And to me, it's more of like a ploy to use negotiation to plans on coaching again, but I don't know. Are the Dolphins going to sit around and wait on the hopes of Mike Tomlin wants to be a Miami Dolphin for whatever reason? It's crazy. But yeah, so the Dolphins miss out on John Harbaugh. 3 strikes, you're out on the Harbaughs. I know there is the J Harbaugh, but no thanks. And also, I think we could safely say that Mike Tomlin isn't on the list. Not because the Dolphins wouldn't want Mike Tomlin, but because Mike Tomlin doesn't want the Dolphins. Tonk, what's up, Tonk?
What's up?
Let me hear you now. Yeah, you sound better now.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I could safely say at this point that Tomlin is probably not available for the Miami Dolphins on the list. And why would Tomlin want to come to Miami? Because we have good weather, because of our storied history here the last 30 years. The Dolphins haven't kept a coach longer than 4 years since Shula. We haven't won a playoff game since Sperano, and we haven't won the division since Chad Pennington. And this team, if you look at since the year 2000, the last 25 seasons, we represent more of the Cleveland Browns than we do of the Miami Dolphins that I grew up watching. And it is a sad state of affairs. And to me, I wish Tomlin would come here. To me, I'd wish a Harbaugh would come here. And in some instances, right, because it is Miami, because, it is an attractive place to live, an attractive place, town. We're starving for football. This is a football town, baby. It's a football town. I get it. The hockey team winning, and I'm about it. But you know what? Freaking the Canes winning in football is crazy. If the Dolphins had the Canes going to the Natty next Monday, if the Dolphins had that in this whole state would be on fire. The NFL, like, it would just be incredible. My point is that we have not been a good representation of what we are as Dolphins fans. So I would love one of these guys, but the problem is they don't want to be here. They don't. I promise you, it isn't about money. It's not about money. It's definitely not about money. This is about power.
Yeah, they don't want to
It's
be
about
here.
say so. It's about power and say so, and wanting to do things the way it needs to be done in a football organization to building a winning team. And the word is out. The word is out on owners, to coaches. The word's out on players. That, the best case scenario is that you take on a first-time head coaching guy and he puts it together and he wins enough favor and gets lucky enough to have the right quarterback. I think we just seen us hire a first-time head coach, actually back-to-back first-time head coaches. I would say Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel were both good first-time head coaching hires. Both hamstringed with the wrong quarterback. Both, I think, will continue to have their NFL careers as coaches blossom, and we'll look back and think, God, man, we had those guys here. So you're talking about shooting, a target that's moving with a bullet off of a ricochet for this organization to not stub their foot, stub their toe on how the way they do business. So hit the like button, everybody. It's everybody in chat. Got 150 watching on all platforms. Make sure you guys are coming over to the YouTube side, hitting the like button and subscribing. Well, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Let's get down to this full list of teams that are looking for head coaches. Because here's the thing: when we say, "Oh yeah, the Dolphins," we want to hire Harbaugh. Well, we're not just, it's not like there's 3 jobs and 10 coaches. There's not. There's 9 head coaching vacancies, or was. What's up, Ali?
Good evening,
What's going on,
gentlemen. How you guys doing? Pretty good.
Doing well.
How you doing?
Hanging in
Good.
there. So there was 9 at this head coaching cycle. There was 9 head coaching vacancies. With Harbaugh being let go of the Steelers, the Ravens. That the Ravens job is open. Mike Tomlin being let go by the Steelers job is open, right? And then now the dominoes fall as such: Falcons, Giants, Raiders, Titans, Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. On paper, the only teams that the Dolphins sit above as far as who would want to take the job, if you would want to go to the Dolphins over the Browns, and you'd probably want to go to the Dolphins over the Raiders. I would say it's a coin flip with the Raiders right now. They got what they seem to be one of those organizations now that Tom Brady's involved. They've got, I don't know, you can't count the Raiders out. But why would anyone want to take the Dolphins job over
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Right now, to be fair, I would say it was going to be a Hail Mary if we got any of the bigger names that were at the top of that list. But right now, the reason that you'd want to take the Dolphins job is there's a lot of potential on our team. And what I mean by that is what they can do to relieve themselves. Everybody knows that next year or this season, the 2026 season, is really going to be a wash. It's going to be us fixing all the wrongs that we've done for the past several seasons. We're going to cut the dead weight, right? We're going to take out the trash. We're going to trade players away and gain assets, and we're going to have ourselves prepared to take on a much better draft class, a much better, I'll even argue, better free agents, in my opinion, in 2027. Nobody's expecting us to be a 2026 competitor, nor should we expect us to. So, if anything,
Well,
I think if I'm the GM, I'm looking, if we can't find our guy now, maybe we do something like what the Patriots did. And if you forgot what the Patriots did,
I
they
know exactly.
after interim season, they hired what was his name, Mayo, as the
Yeah,
coach. They fixed their books, they drafted and got their guy, and he was there for one season. They cut him loose, and then they went and got their guy. Right?
I
Because
completely
it looked
agree
a
with
lot
that.
more appealing.
I don't want
And
to.
I think
I don't
that's
want
the
to run
plan.
too far down. I don't want to run too far down to the rabbit hole on that because I'm absolutely in agreement with you. I think that's the course of action the Dolphins should take. But as it
Yeah,
currently sits, with a new general manager who now has the power, with no head coach on the team, all of what will happen as far as team evaluation and assets and what they're going to do and how they're going to do business, all is predicated on who they get in the building. Right now, Harbaugh is with the Giants. He is taken off the list. That leaves 8 other football teams. I would say Tomlin is the next guy that everybody would want, and then Stefanski, correct? Just by on pedigree, if we're ranking these guys. So right off rip, you could take Tomlin off the board for the Falcons because, or excuse me, not for the Falcons, for the Ravens. Their owner kind of set on that a little bit. You know he's not going back to the Steelers. So now the Giants are already off the board. So now we're talking about the Raiders, the Falcons, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Browns. I would say he's not going to go to Cleveland. So we could take Cleveland right off the list.
For
So
who,
it would be
Stefanski or for Tomlin?
for Tomlin. So right now
For
we're
Tomlin.
looking.
Okay, perfect. Right. Yes.
Right now we're looking at the jobs that Tomlin, I'm projecting a little bit here, but that Tomlin would say I would take one of these jobs: the Falcons, the Raiders, the Titans, the Cardinals, and the Dolphins. There's 5 teams. To me, the Falcons have a young quarterback, but he is often injured and has he is Tua Tagovailoa, just with leg injuries and not head and hip injuries. I would say stronger armed and more mobile, but just as much of a liability at quarterback. Plus, they do have cap situation problems with Kirk Cousins that they could release, and there is some weird movement. There is a lot of good talent on the Falcons on both sides of the ball that could be palatable. Plus, an organization and an owner and a setup that I think would be super willing. The Titans to me is low key the best jobs I think available right now for anybody who's on hedge coaching. You've got a lot of money that's coming free this next year. You have Cam Ward on a next couple of years on the rookie deal. To me, he possesses all you would want and more to build a team around. And it's kind of a clean slate, right? They've shuffled a bunch of GMs. The GM that they have now, like it's not like there's going to be this huge power dynamic. So whoever gets brought in there should work well with everything that's because they're at a ground level right now, and they've got a top draft pick, right? A lot of things that could be good, especially you got top draft pick and a clear cut quarterback that you're going to want to keep. To me, the Titans job and the Giants job were the top 2 jobs for the guys like Harbaugh and Tomlin. Harbaugh taking the Giants job, to me, kind of leaves Tennessee open for Tomlin to go in. Cardinals, say what you want about the Cardinals. They're a weird organization. They seem to sit at fourth place in their division, and then you turn around and they're on a run over 3 years and they win a Super Bowl. It's the weirdest organization I've ever seen in my life. Tampa Bay and the Cardinals are kind of these weird organizations where they just sit in mediocrity and at the bottom, and then you turn around and they're playing in the freaking NFC Championship game and then winning a Super Bowl. It's one of the, but I don't know. To me, the Dolphins have a hard pitch sale to sell to Tomlin for the Titans, the Raiders, the Falcons. Like I believe that if we're looking at it objectively, I would say on that list of 5 availables, the Dolphins are at the best 3, more like 4, as far as palatable jobs that somebody would be wanting to take. So just
So,
some things.
who did you have as
agree.
a good fit for Tomlin?
I think Tennessee would be a great fit. Weak division.
Who has 2 first rounds?
Who?
Yeah, is there any team that the head coach that has 2 first round picks?
I don't know. Not off
The
top of
reason
my
I'm
head.
asking, because let's not forget, for any team that wants to go after Tomlin, they can't just get him free and nilly. They have to give up draft picks because he's still under contract. He didn't get fired; he stepped down. There's a major difference.
I've heard that twice now. I don't know that to be a fact. Right? Has that been reported as a fact, or are we just assuming that? Because
it has been reported. Ian Rappaport even talked about it. The
he
reason
did.
being
Ian Rappaport did say it.
is because you remember Sean Payton was still under contract, even though he stepped down with the Saints, and they had to give up a first round draft pick to the Saints. That's how the Broncos got him.
That's true. You're right about that. But to me, it just seems like a much more weird situation. I don't know. I guess not really. If Tomlin does take the year off, it would honestly be very close to the exact situation.
Yeah, at that point he would be not under contract. Let me ask you this. Let's say we got a 1-year rental head coach situation and Tomlin is available free and nilly next year in 2027. Do you maybe consider it?
I don't know. I would have to see, right? Like if you've got a top 5 draft pick and need a quarterback, do you go get the coach over the quarterback with the draft pick? I say no. I say no.
Well, right now you don't. Right now you don't but next year, I think he
Yeah.
has 1 year left. So if next year, he won't be on contract anymore at that point.
I don't
So you
know
don't give
how
up the
that
draft
works.
pick.
I don't think that's how it works, Ali. I think no matter what, he is still under that contract.
Oh, because he didn't complete the
Yeah.
year as the active
Yeah.
person, is what you're
They
saying.
own the rights.
Now I get it. Okay, I
They
had to
own
think
his
about that. I was
NIL.
like, what?
Yeah, I think they own his NIL.
Yeah, I
kinda
get
in
what
a
you're
way.
saying. I get what you're saying.
So I don't know. Again, who knows, right? Like, all right. So that's the full list of teams. Let's go ahead and get into the next part here with the head coaching candidates, right? So here's now look, this isn't every coach that the Dolphins have asked about. This isn't, all the coaches they've interviewed, but here is what I think it's a pretty good list of potential names to be thrown around on this quote unquote coaching cycle. Some of the names you guys have heard, some of them you guys haven't heard. But we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to go through I'm going to take Brian Flores off this list because he is somebody that's been talked about and stuff, but obviously he's not going to be on the Dolphins. And I'm going to take Mike McDaniel off the list as well because we're not going to hire him. But we've got Mike McCarthy, Kevin Stefanski. We've got Chris Shula, Robert Saleh, Cliff Kingsbury, Jeff Hafley, Jesse Minter, Brian Daboll, Jason Garrett, Matt Nagy, Arthur Smith, Vance Joseph, Steve Spagnuolo, Lou Amarillo, Raheem Morris, Jonathan Gannon, and Mike McCoy. All guys that some have been coaches, some are coordinators, some are, whatever. This is to me the John Gruden too. I guess we could sprinkle John Gruden's name into that as well if you wanted to talk about people that are candidates that are potentially available on a coaching hire cycle. Harbaugh off the list, and I'm keeping Mike Tomlin off the list as well. So out of that list of 15, 20 names, whatever the hell it is, the Dolphins have formally requested to meet with quite a few coaches. And I'm going to go ahead and just give you guys a quick list of the formally requested coaches that they've interviewed or wanted to interview. Kevin Stefanski, Clint Kubiak, Robert Saleh, Chris Shula. Who else? Hold on. I just had the list. Give me 2 seconds. Jeff Hatley, Kelvin Shepard, Patrick Graham, and a name Dolphin fans know around here is Anthony Campanelli. Now, out of those official visit names, I think there's 9 of them that I went through real quick. Let me just go ahead and Chris Shula, Anthony Campanelli, Kevin Stefanski, Jesse Minor, Robert Saleh, Clint Kubiak, Jeff Hafley, Kelvin Shepard, Patrick Graham. So out of those guys that are the full list of coaches that have been formally asked for interviews, the Dolphins have already checked a few of these names off the boxes, right? And a couple of these guys, starting with Kevin Stefanski, he was the first guy that brought in. Now, here's the thing, right?
That's the Browns head coach, right?
That's right. The Browns, ex-Browns head coach. Here's the thing about Kevin Stefanski, right? In retrospect, decent coach, right? He's on the Browns.
I mean,
it could be one of those situations where, like, you can't judge a quarterback in, on the Jets, just like you can't judge a coach on the Browns. And two-time head coach of the year while with the Browns. So just to give a quick rundown of his coaching career, just to give you guys a little bit of backstory, whatever, right? He okay, so starting his coaching career in 2006 with the Minnesota Vikings, Stefanski began with the Vikings as an assistant under the Brad Childress Vikings. Over the next 14 years, he had a bunch more jobs and stuff like that. So from assistant to the head coach from 2006 to 2008 with the Vikings, and then he became the assistant quarterbacks coach. And he got to work with Chris Ponder and Brett Favre between the years of 2009 and 2013. They then moved him with the Vikings still in 2014 and 2015 to the tight ends coach, graduating up to running backs in 2016 and 2017 and 18. He was the quarterbacks guy, helping Casey Keenum. Remember this. This is the year that Casey Keenum was like blowing up, and remember that when Casey Keenum was killing it with the Vikings. He threw 22 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. Kevin Stefanski was the guy that got a lot of that credit for the Casey Keenum turnaround. He became in 2018. They fired their coach, and so he was elevated to interim offensive coordinator in 2018, and then he retained the job in 2019. Did such a well job at serving, multiple things, working from the ground up. Like I said, assistant to the head coach, working with the quarterbacks, tight ends, running backs, all the way up to the offensive coordinating position. Then gets the opportunity to coach, be a head coach, and he becomes the 18th head coach of the Cleveland Browns for the 2020 year coming up. In 2020, his first year as a head coach, he wins NFL Coach of the Year. He took the Browns to an 11-5 record and getting their first playoff berth in almost 20 years. The next, he then took him and led him to a playoff card win over the over the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So that was literally made him.
Who was his quarterback then?
Baker
it was
Mayfield?
Baker Mayfield was his quarterback. So then in
Yep.
2023, he got another 11-6 record with the team, and he got his second NFL Coaching of the Year award. 2024 with the Browns, it fell off after they got an extension. 2025 was the year then, and here he sits now over 6 seasons with the Browns. Those two, 11-6 and 11-5 seasons that he won Coach of the Year with were overshadowed by regular Browns football and bad
Deshaun
playing.
Watson.
Actually,
that
they were
too.
shattered with major injuries because if you remember, Nick Chubb had his leg
Major.
broken in 2 different places.
Major injuries, but also with those major injuries, Tonk is right. That money destroyed him. Bro.
Yeah.
That money destroyed that team. Now, there is conflicting reports on that. Some people say Stefanski wanted to keep Baker and extend Baker, and the organization
that's true.
Manager wanted to get Deshaun Watson, and since then they've done nothing but give him 3 to 5 quarterbacks every couple of weeks up in that bench.
Can I want to wait to hear what Tonk has to say, but I want to push back on something real quick. Go ahead, Tonk. You go first.
He had I think, was it last season or this season? So that's where their quarterback right now is what's his name?
Shedeur Sanders.
Yes, Shedeur Sanders.
So,
and I don't think
that's where it went wrong.
I don't think that was too. I mean, he did all right. I mean, he didn't do absolutely terrible.
Remember, Shedeur never started with the ones. They took Dylan Gabriel, who was this. I mean, it's been a mess in the quarter.
Yeah, they had a stacked locker room for QB.
They had.
At the start,
I think they had 5 QBs at the start of the season. Like again, it was just a shit show all the way around. I mean, but that's kind of Cleveland.
If you put everything together and said like, I don't know how much it hangs up on me or holds up me debating if he's a good head coach or not because of the Deshaun Watson thing and how much was that his idea. Because it just seems like an epic failure on so many reasons. And I do think he's a good head coach. I think he's the best head coach they've had in a very, very long. I've never seen them do good. I've never seen them win a playoff game.
The last time they had a good head coach was Bill Belichick, and that's a fact. You can go look at it.
That was a long time ago.
That was the last time the Browns, before they came back, got to the playoffs with Eric Metcalf and Leroy Horde. You can go look at it.
I think his biggest blemish is Deshaun Watson. Besides that, his blemishes would just be, I guess, regular coach blemishes. But
I don't know. I would say the biggest blemish. Again, Tonk. I don't think we can hang that on him because it's been quite really understood that he wanted to extend Baker.
I didn't know.
That's what was understood.
Go ahead, Ali.
But yeah, that's why
I want to push back on something that you guys were saying about. Like you said something about the last couple seasons have been kind of a wash. It's kind of like ugh, you know what I mean?
Well, it's
granted, they had those running back injuries really bad, but there's some things that I want even in the seasons that he didn't win Coach of the Year or he didn't get the 11-5 or 11-6 record or whatever, right? I want to point out some things. There's some common denominators that have been consistent throughout his coaching career at the Cleveland Browns. And you can go back and look at this. Cleveland's defense have always been one of the top competitive defenses during his tenure. They always had a top 5 or top 10 defense. You can go look at it. The stats will prove it. The rankings will prove it. So they've always had that for the majority of his time there. In addition, they always had a very good running game for a big majority of their a very physical running game for a majority of his tenure as a coach there. One things they didn't really have in the last 2 seasons, I want to say they didn't have the quarterback, but they also didn't have the wide receivers either. If it wasn't for Joe Flacco, I want to say that was last season or the season before, they probably wouldn't have made the playoffs, to be honest. So for me, if out of the guys that you've mentioned, he's probably the only one that I think that has prior coaching experience. I'm keeping him. I'm not like sold on him yet, but I'm going to keep him around to come back to just to, I like those certain things about him because if we are going in with a new quarterback in the draft, you want to make sure you have one hell of a defense. That's something even you've said, Captain. And
listen, I'm all about defense, but
yeah.
I
So
don't know.
for me,
I don't know
I
how
think
much
that
I can
if we're
attribute
going
the
with
defense.
if we're going to draft a quarterback with pick 1 and that's the plan, no matter what, you want to have a guy that can make sure your defense is up to par. And though Stefanski is an offensive-minded head coach, he's always hired the right guy to lead the defense. And they've stayed consistent. Like I said, you can go back to the stats. At some point, that defense was playing at a very high level. So
I mean,
that's
you'll
why
get no pushback from me.
I kind of like it, but I'm not totally sold yet. I want to see the other people. So go ahead.
So you could, listen, that's his team. People could say, hey, he's an offensive minded coach, blah, 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 but I don't care. He's the guy in charge of running that organization at that time. And you're right. His defensive have been fairly dominant for quite some time. Garrett has something to do with that, but whatever,
Maybe.
I will say this. Just going down the line of guys that have been interviewed, he is qualified, and he's also qualified to spin a lot of plates at the same time. This is a guy who ran the head coaching job at probably the only more dysfunctional franchise in the NFL, not named the Dolphins and the Browns. So, I take that back. The Jets are more dysfunctional than the Dolphins and the Browns, but you get my point, right? Like, so that maybe second time around, knowing what he's doing, navigating the waters, I would say all in all, not a poor choice. Next up, after Stefanski, as one of the guys that the Dolphins had on their list and has interviewed, is Jeff Hafley. Okay, now to me, it's an obvious connection here. He's the defensive coordinator with the Green Bay Packers. He, is a guy that is obviously connected to our new general manager that we got from the Green Bay Packers scouting department. I would say he's underqualified, obviously. I'm going to go into a little bit about Jeff Hatley's coaching career. Listen, this is a guy that most of his coaching accolades are coming by way of college, and that's just the fact, right? He was the head coach of Boston College at one point, and it seems like the Dolphins love that Boston College connection. I don't know why. 2012, Hafley made his NFL coaching debut with the Tampa Bay Bucks, joined the Bucks as an assistant defensive backs coach, and spent the 2013 season as the secondary and safeties coach. That season, Hafley oversaw the unit that was able to tie third in the NFL with interceptions. 2014, he was hired by the Cleveland Browns as their secondary coach. He would remain with them for the 14 and 15 season before being relieved of those duties. So he was fired after a coaching overhaul in 2015. 2016, he was hired by the San Francisco 49ers. New coach at that time was Chip Kelly, and we know how that ended up. He was a defensive backs coach there with the Chip Kelly, and then after that fell apart, he went to Ohio State as a co-defensive coordinator in 2019. Shout out Ali, he was part of that ninth, good class there. and then he then switched shortly after his time in 2019 with the recruiting department from over there. He slid over to Boston College, where he was hired as their head coach after the firing of their coach during his whatever. And then he was there for 4 years with the team, and then just recently, now this past season, past 2 seasons, excuse me, he was hired on. He was hired with the Green Bay Packers as their defensive coordinator. So definitely not a full lengthy career. When we talk about something you mentioned a little earlier, tee up the guy who's underqualified to lose a season, scratch my back kind of thing. If they hire Jeff Hatley, I will look at it as a lame duck coach hire, because outside of him pulling off everything short of a miracle with the Dolphins, the guy is just, I don't even, I mean, who's his coaching staff, right? Like, who's he calling up to like reinvent an organization that's falling apart at the seams with financial problems? So,
I agree with you. It's not a guy that entices me. I mean, there are maybe one or two other non-previous head coach guys that I'd rather be more inclined to than this guy.
Well, yeah, I
To be
agree with
honest.
that too. We'll get into some of those guys too. Here's what Matt LaFleur had to say about Jeff Hartley potentially getting a head coaching job, which I'm sure he would love because then they would get a compensatory pick. But here's what he had to say.
I think all options are on the table. I think that's something that we'll be working through. I fully anticipate. I think Halfley's going to do a great job on the interview, and I fully anticipate him getting one of these. And I would be so happy for him because he deserves it. And he's a great friend. He's a great man. He's a great coach. I'd hate to see him leave for us. But at the same time, that's what this business is all about, and he's earned those ops. So I'm excited for him in that regard. But we'll make sure we have a good plan in place.
Jeez. All right. Well, Jeff Hatley, number 2 on the list. Eric Stefanski. Now, old stinkfinger Stefanski was number 1. Now Jeff Hatley coming up number 2. Coach the Dolphins have sat down and done interviews with is Clint Kubiak. So, all right, let's get into a little bit of a bio on the Clint Kubiak guy. Clint Kubiak's, a little bit more, I would say, better tenured coach. Definitely comes from a much bigger coaching tree. Young guy. I think he's like 37, 38 years old. His fucking father's Gary Kubiak. We all know Kubiak, and his offense, and everybody's pretty much running this West Coast shit's all coming from that. Let's call it for what it is. So here's Kubiak's career. Old Clinty Kubiak. Texas A&M University, started as an offensive quality control manager coach, and then later moved up to assistant and inside wide receivers coach, earning his master's degree in human resource development. This is at Texas A&M from 2010 to 2012. 2013, he served as the quality control manager, assistant to wide receiver, and for the Minnesota Vikings in 2013, 2014. Some interesting overlap there with Stefanski and the Kubiak connection. Do you hear that, Ali? A little bit of overlap of the Stefanski Kubiak. I wonder if they hire Stefanski and bring Kubiak here as the OC. I don't know. University of Kansas in 2015, he was the wide receivers coach. 2016, 17, and 18, he held roles as the offensive assistants and quarterbacks coach, contributing to the team's offensive strategies and stuff like that during his father's tenure as the head coach for 16, 17, and 18. Going back to the Minnesota Vikings in 2019 through 2021, He was the quarterback coach there. The guy that took over after Stefanski left. That's interesting there. Again, another close, type of rubbing of the elbows with Stefanski for Kubiak. He was promoted to the offensive coordinator in 2021, succeeding his father. Under his leadership, the offense ranked 12th, 2021. He then goes back to the Broncos in 2022 to be the pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach after an overhaul in Minnesota. He did take over play call duties in 2022, then goes to San Francisco 49ers in 2023, pass game coordinator over there, goes to New Orleans in 2024, offensive coordinator for the New Orleans in 2024. And then in 2025, as you guys know, he's with the Seattle Seahawks, and he is the offensive coordinator that is, got one of the best offenses in the league right now. So just some interesting things about all that. Interesting overlap. As I'm reading these bios, I'm kind of putting together a little bit of a theme here by our new general manager on whom and what he's looking for. They obviously have a plan. They obviously know what they're looking at. These guys kind of all coming from the same type of ordeal. So interesting.
Yeah. Out of the guys that you mentioned that did not have head coaching experience, I kind of like Kubiak. Kubiak, through his father, has always been around head coaches, always been around football, has always been around coaching. And I think he can lean on some of that experience as well as reach out for assistance when he needs to, right? The other interesting fact that you mentioned was his master's degree. And correct me if I'm wrong. You said he was a human resources development master in that, you said?
Mm-hmm.
What does that say to you when someone has that type of degree?
That means,
Teamwork. He knows how to build a team.
guys.
Team building. Team building is really what it sounds like. So I like that about him too. He knows how to maybe build chemistry and get guys to work with each other. And I like the fact that he's been all over. He's been in college. He was held different positions with different teams that you could argue run different style offenses and stuff. So he's been, dabbled a little bit of everything. It is very interesting, though. He's rubbed corners with Stefanski and Mike McDaniel like crazy. That's what's very interesting.
Remember that Kubiak Shanahan tree is super intertwined with the West Coast system and everything like that. Now here's something, right?
Yeah,
I like Kubiak for what you kind of beat around the bush just a little bit, but let's call it for what it is. Buddy's connected. He's connected to all levels of football through his father and everyone else who's linked in all that together. I agree with you. If we're going to take a swing on a first-time head coach guy, Kubiak is right at the top of my list. Just because, look, I think there'd be growing pains. I think there's all this stuff. But the chances of Kubiak being one of these guys that works out are far higher, just like Shanahan's doing with the Niners. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's let's call it for what it is. It's like anything in the world. It's not just what you know, but who you know. And he knows what he knows, and he also knows people to hook it up.
You said he was. I'm sorry. You said he was a pass game coordinator for the Niners. What year? 2023.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. He's been.
Was that the year that the Rams won it?
I don't know. I can't. I think it is the year the Rams won. So he's been a run game coordinator, pass game coordinator.
Yeah, if that's the year that the Rams won it, they had a hell of a season that year. I think it was the Rams that they beat twice during the season, only to lose to them in the playoffs. So, and they had an injury that happened that kind of made their team more one-dimensional. But very he's like you said, he's played with a lot of not played, but he's coached with a lot of different teams, and he's connected. It's very interesting prospect at head coach, to be honest.
I would be higher on a Kubiak higher than some of the other guys that we could see.
Oh yeah, higher than Hadley for sure, 100%.
Way higher than Hadley.
Well, yeah, guys. That's what I meant by that. Like,
I think he's just a lame duck coach, which that's what it'll signal to me. Which I'm fine with that. But if they're gonna actually try to pull it down to the studs and rebuild this thing, and they're gonna go first time head coach guy, I say go that guy. And Chris Shula is another name for obvious reasons, but we'll get into him a little bit later on. So, but they have met with Kubiak right now. I don't know. He's going to be coaching this weekend, so we'll see. You can't hire him just yet, and maybe the Dolphins plan to, because there's a couple of these guys they have interviewed that they have not hired. Let's continue on to the next guy. The next guy the Dolphins have met with, have sat down and talked with, is Jesse Minter. Is it Minter? Is it Minter? I don't know. I got to be honest. I'm not really.
Let's go with Minter because I have no idea.
I thought it was Jesse Minter. So his coaching career began at Notre Dame. He was a defensive intern for a season, and then he went. Then while in school and stuff like that. That's where they technically say his humble beginnings begun. Back in 2008. He then goes to Cincinnati for 2 seasons to become the linebackers coach at Indiana State in 2009, working his way up to defensive coordinator, then transfers to Georgia State in 2012 to become their full-time defensive coordinator. He helped them get, whatever, blah, 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 blah. 2017, he joins the Baltimore Ravens as a defensive assistant, where he worked pretty much with defensive backs. He then got elevated to the defensive backs coach in 2020. After that, Vanderbilt came a calling in 2021 and wanted them to be their DC, their defensive coordinators and special safeties coach, and took that job.
We got a super chat.
Hung out with them. Oh, we got a super chat. Let's see what we got here.
Joe Wrist. I got you.
Go ahead, Joe Wrist.
Thank you, Joe Wrist, wherever you are on the planet. We might see Kubiak offense against Shula defense in NFC Championship. You mean like
soon? like literally.
Where is Kubiak at right now?
Kubiak's with the Seattle Seahawks as their offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
and Chris Shula is with the Rams.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that. I'm as like finally having a team back out here, winning team. Well, we kind of never really lost a winning team, but just the team that the Seattle Seahawks have right now is just crazy. And like thinking of their defensive coordinator leaving, but like it's going to the Dolphins. So I'm torn on that one. I think that would be a good hire, actually.
We're talking about Kubiak?
Yeah.
One question I have in regards to Kubiak, because it was very interesting. All of the GM searches we did had some type of connection with McDaniel, right? Except for, I want to say, the guy that everyone thought was going to bring Harbaugh here, right? I want to know which guy Aikman likes, because it sounds like they like Troy Aikman a lot. I want to know if he's going to pick the next head coach. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And my betting guess, if we're going first-time head coach, I think that Kubiak guy is on the path. That's where I'm sitting right now. So we'll see.
Sorry, Cap, I didn't mean to bring you back. Who were you on at the moment?
We're on Jesse Minter. So
okay.
After Vanderbilt at the defensive coordinator position, he then announces that he's gonna go to Michigan, right? And Ali loves to hear that. He was the defensive coordinator in Michigan in 2022. He also, when John Harbaugh got that 3-game suspension, Minor was the guy that held down fort for him for those 3 games, and
Oh man,
took care
yeah,
of
but was he
business.
part of that bullshit?
Of course he
So
was, because guess where
Yeah.
he
he's
was
at now?
definitely
He's the
part of
defensive
bullshit.
coordinator. He's the defensive coordinator for
The Chargers.
Jim Harbaugh at the friggin' Chargers.
Fuck
So
that
yeah,
guy.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
you
sorry.
better
I don't
not
want to
make
touch
fuck
any.
that guy.
This is where I'm at with that. Any player from that time period, any coach from that time
Yeah.
period, I don't touch.
Yeah, we
They're
don't want
already
you.
not
I
playing the
don't know.
standard. It even took Kenny
Hey,
G
Cap
forever
don't.
to
I
get
don't.
going.
Hey,
So,
Cap.
no, no, thank you.
I don't know.
Cap
I
don't give
like a
fuck.
guy who does anything to win. I like a guy who does whatever to win.
Yeah,
Brian.
but
like,
if he's going to be
gotta
trash,
do. That's what
if
we
he
gotta
can't,
do.
but here's the thing. Wait. El Cap. You say that now, but then when he can't do that here in the NFL, you're going to be bitching like, "Oh my God, get rid of this motherfucker. He's trash.
I'm gonna
Get him
bitch
off
anyhow,
my
buddy.
team. We're in the hole again."
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm bitching anyhow, dude. I'm a Dolphins fan. What the fuck
We
you
get-
talking
we-
about?
We gave it both ways, right?
That's
Yeah,
true. We are going to be bitching, but I'd
Yeah,
rather
I'm bitching no
bitch
matter
the
what.
least amount, not more so. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I have
Again,
to disagree.
I gotta imagine the Jesse Minor thing. I'm assuming
You might want to tell
probably
the audience what we're talking about. They may not know what we're talking about, by the way.
I'm not saying nothing. They better figure it
Yeah.
out. They better watch more
Yeah,
of the
that's up to
program. That's
them.
all
Yeah,
I got.
that's up to them
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah,
Watch
yeah,
4th and
that's up-
10U. You'll know
Hey,
what's
we
up.
love y'all. We love y'all though.
That was
There
your
you
time
go,
to
dude.
plug for me, dude. That was your
Yeah.
time.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, teed up. Yeah, you want to learn some college fucking shit? You best go follow the homie at 4th and 10U, Ali. Shout out to Mystic and Steve who go on there as well. The boys are holding it down. Anyhow, so
Yeah,
all
keep
right.
going.
I would say the Jesse Minor guy is underqualified. There's the Harbaugh connection. I don't know if he was ever really on their list or if it was just more pandering to the Harbaugh family that this organization loves to end up doing. But there you go, right? He is a guy that they've had around. Maybe they love him. I don't know. Maybe it's like, oh my God, they're just blown away. Maybe he's the guy that was, straight and narrow and really wanted to get all this. Maybe he was the honest guy with Harbaugh. I don't know, right? But whatever. Jesse Minor, very short coaching career, very short time, not as whatever. All right, so the next guy that the Dolphins have brought in and completed interviews with is the final guy that they've put in requests, and we're going to get to the other guys that they have requests with. But this is the final guy who they have actually interviewed. And the final guy is Robert Saleh. They completed that today. So you guys all know Robert Saleh. He was the head coach of the Jets when they were actually fucking hard to play against. I get it that they didn't have a winning record the entire time he was there, but that defense was hella good. But his records while he was the head coach of the Jets in 2021 was 4-13, 2022 was 7-10, followed up in 2023 with another 7-10. He was fired in the middle of the 2024 season after going 2-3, and they let him go. His overall record as a head coach was 20-36. Before his time with the Jets, though, as you guys may or may not know, he was with the San Francisco 49ers. That's where he's at today. Yeah. That's where he's at today. He helped guide the Niners in 2019 to the Super Bowl appearance and stuff like that. That defense are really, really good. If you remember when they hired him, he was with Jaguars in 2014, 15, and 16 as the linebackers coach underneath Gus Bradley. That's when they were Saxonville. After they fired Gus Bradley, they let him go. Prior to that, he was with the Seattle Seahawks in 2011, 12, and 13 under Pete Carroll. This guy, again, where he's at, that's where the best defenses are playing in the NFL. He was part of the Legion of Boom in those days underneath Pete Carroll. Saleh was a part of that. He was the defensive equality control guy underneath Pete Carroll. So, I mean, again, having his – and his humble beginnings in the NFL started as a linebackers assistant and a defensive intern in 2005 through 2010, working his way all the way up to getting more involved with the Houston Texans. So again, Robert Saleh, if you're looking to have a guy who is, defensive minded and stuff, Robert Saleh, I respect. I respect Robert Saleh.
Yeah, I can't hate on him.
I gotta be honest. I don't think Robert Saleh would take the Dolphins job. I just really don't. I don't think he would take
I
it.
don't either.
I mean, first of all, he's gonna. As soon as he left the interview, he called Mike McDaniel. Like they're friends. They know each other. They were really close.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
I don't know if that'll factor into it though.
I'll tell you what. If Robert Saleh does get the Dolphins head coaching job, I would see it as the biggest spit in the face of Mike McDaniel. It would mean that he never. It would mean he never really liked Mike McDaniel. He thinks Mike McDaniel is a bitch, and that he can do his job better than him. I'm calling it now. If Robert Saleh takes the Dolphins job, he says "fuck you" to Mike McDaniel, and that I'm a better coach than you ever were, and I can whip your ass, which is kind of proof.
Why do you feel that way?
Because they're boys.
Yeah, but I don't. Well, there's a couple things. First of all, let's not forget who's the bitch in this scenario, and that's actually Robert Saleh. Because let's not forget that those 2 seasons with Aaron Rodgers took every chance he got to fucking take a shot and push around Robert Saleh like he's some little bitch, and that's what eventually got him fired. All right, I'm sorry. Robert Saleh is a pushover. I do not want to get. I don't want another pushover. We had one. He had a good offense. That's what he specialized in. And you know what? He was a pushover, and we got rid of him. I don't want a guy that comes in that has a great defense, but he's still a pushover because it's like the exact inverse of what we already had. So for me, Robert Saleh is a no. I'm sorry. He doesn't. Look, I get it. But I just think he's one of those guys, just like McDaniel, that is a great coordinator, great defensive coordinator. Just stay where you're at doing that. If we hire him as a defensive coordinator in Miami, I won't be mad at that. I won't be mad at that at all. I just don't think he has the head coach respectability that you think he does.
I don't disagree. To me, I wouldn't be jumping up and down because Saleh's the coach. I think
I wouldn't hold Aaron Rodgers against him though.
I agree with that. I would say Saleh is certainly one of like a player's coach and also kind of a tough guy as far as how he coaches and stuff. And I'm not going to hold Aaron Rodgers or the Jets against him, but I will see it as Robert Saleh is like the pendulum swing higher, right? Like you go the player friendly coach to the pendulum, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just feels like that back and forth ping pong match that the Dolphins have been doing at the head coaching position for quite some time.
Here we go. There we go. Just like Nomi said.
Well, actually, he was already a head coach, so he can't be the first Muslim head coach. First of all, because he was already a head coach.
First Muslim head coach here in
Miami. The second thing is BMCD had a better take. Saleh is a great scapegoat. He's perfect. If we're really doing this thing where we're going to keep a guy just around for 1 year and fire his ass and get the guy we really want, then yeah, he's a great scapegoat. Let me tell you.
I'm here for that. All right. So, okay. A couple of the other names, and I'm just going to list these guys off real quick and we'll break them down one by one. These are confirmed coaching candidates that the Dolphins have requested to have interviews with. All right, we'll just get right into it. Patrick Graham is one of them. Anthony Campanelli, as you guys know, was here with Miami. Kelvin Shepard, as you guys also know, used to play for Miami. And Chris Shula, as you guys should know, is the son of Don Shula and all that stuff. So, again, let's start with Patrick Graham here. Just a little bit about him. He was we'll go into his. And funny enough, Patrick Graham was here as a coach in Miami as well. All four of these final candidates all have ties to the Dolphins, having been involved with this organization at one point or another. So we'll start it. We'll start it here. Patrick Graham joined the New England Patriots as a defensive coaching assistant in 2009, under obviously Bill Belichick. In 2010, his title was changed to defensive assistant. And then in 2011, he was the linebackers coach. 2012, he moved to the D line. 2014, he moved back to linebackers, and that was the year he won a Super Bowl, his first Super Bowl with the Patriots when they defeated the Seahawks in 2014. 2016, he was hired by the Giants as the defensive line coach. 2018, he took the job for the Green Bay Packers as the run game coordinator. A little bit of mixing it up for him there, right? This is where the overlap where the Miami Dolphins come into play. In 2019, when Brian Flores was our head coach, we knew it was going to be his defense. He was going to run it his way. Our defensive coordinator was Patrick Graham in 2019, the terrible season. Then in 2020, after getting let go, he went back to the Giants, was hired as their assistant head coach and defensive coordinator, taking a pay bump and a title change and all that good stuff. Then he moved to the Raiders moved to the Raiders as a defensive coordinator under Josh McDaniel in that day, and a little bit of back and forth since then, and now he's with whatchamacallit. He's back with the fucking Giants. So no,
I don't think he let go of it.
He's still with the Raiders. My fault. No,
I was
we
gonna
didn't
say, I
let
don't think
go of Graham.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I don't think we let go of him. He got hired because I remember we got No, we didn't, because he transferred to the same position. But here's a big but. Wasn't he with the Packers for a hot minute?
Yes, he was. He was with the Packers in 2018. He was their run game coordinator then. There is a little bit of tie
That is the
there,
connection to Sullivan. Interesting. Okay. He's not a guy. I think he could be I'm really not really interested in him, to be honest. I don't know. It hasn't been good. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think now here's the thing, right? All of these guys coming in for their head coaching interviews, that doesn't mean that they'll get the job, right?
No.
But also in places, the Raiders are looking for a new head coach. What if they hire somebody and he gets fired and we want to bring him in as our DC? All of these guys, I will say this, connections to Stefanski, connections to what was the other guy we just were talking about? Kubiak. Connections to now Graham, connections to Jeff Hadley, obviously very easy. But we can see where these guys with our general manager and obviously to the amongst each other where there's some overlap where we're not seeing. I haven't seen one guy that said they spend any time with the Arizona Cardinals. So I haven't seen anybody where it says that they were with the I don't know, the friggin' Buffalo Bills or anything like that, right? Like there's not any of that. There's obviously a coaching tree connection and overlap with an idea from these candidates. So next up, a fan favorite around here, a guy that a lot of people liked on the team, a guy that a lot of people liked in the fan base, Anthony Campanelli, right? Who got his NFL start here in Miami and in short order. Now, remember, and you're going to love this too, we're going to go through his college career first. He started with Rutgers. He was a defensive assistant in 2012. 2013 moved to wide receivers and tight ends coach, which is interesting. Guy moving on the other side of the ball. That's where he was with Tyler Croft, who said that he mentored him. And then in 2016, now listen to this, becomes the defensive backs coach where? Boston College. Isn't that crazy? And then guess what? 2019, Michigan hires him to be their new linebackers coach and defensive assistant. Then in 2020, he comes here to the Miami Dolphins and stays with us as our linebackers coach and involved in the defense for a few years before getting let go and him taking a job as a run game coordinator and linebackers coach with Green Bay in 2024. And then this past off season, he's the defensive coordinator with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and their defense was night and day from what they were the year prior. So I don't think Anthony Campanelli is in any situation or ready to be a head coach right now, but he is an interesting name to keep an eye on. He's going to be getting more looks. I think he's an absolute long shot to make this, to become the Dolphins head coach. But if they wanted to bring him in and have that lame duck coach and they like him and keep him around, maybe he want to do that. I don't know. It's just short drive.
I will give you that. Yeah, I'll give you this. I don't think he'll get the job, but let me just tell you some things about like a connection. Not really a connection, but like a common denominator that I found with Campanelli that you may not know. So in his tenure, because you said he started at Rutgers, and said that he was here from 2020 to last year, right? 2024?
2023. No,
2023, right?
2023, yeah.
Do you know one thing he has? You know what's common between those three stops?
What's that?
He has coached under a very, very high, like great defensive mind. He had Brian Flores, obviously, right? He had what's his name? He went to the Philadelphia Eagles. What's his name?
God, what is his name?
They're DC.
I can't remember. I know you're talking about though.
It was not Fasano. What was his name? God damn it. Fangio. Yes. Fangio, right?
Shout out to Larry K in chat with the fucking save.
Yeah, thank you. For some reason, I couldn't think of it. You know who he was at Rutgers? What year was he at Rutgers? Can you name that again for me?
He started in Rutgers 2012.
2012?
Yeah.
Okay. So part of that time period, he was under Greg Schiano, Tampa's old coach, who was a great defensive mind. He also was the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, where they went on several playoff runs. And also he's at Rutgers again. So he's made his rounds. But that guy is a really, really good defensive mind. And the fact that he got to learn under all three of them, I think that's really good. Personally,
I think it's a little easier of a deduction of how Anthony Campanelli is getting interviewing and coaching is that, you know, in his short NFL existence, he was with the Dolphins. By all accounts, every account, was very liked and respected for what he did. Then went to Green Bay, where now that's where our friggin' our GM is from, and was their linebacking coach and run game coordinator. And then when he got his first shot to be a DC with Jacksonville, he's changed that defensive team. So both the Dolphins and the Packers know him well, watched his successes somewhere else in Jacksonville, and I'm sure in more ways than one, that's why the connection's there. I think Anthony Campanelli stays DC there. Obviously, I think that's the case.
Larry
I
K.
don't even.
Thank you.
What's that?
I was gonna say thanks to Larry K. He says that not only did he coach there, he played there and was
Yes, he
under
did.
Shiana when he was playing too.
That's true. I could see it on his profile here. He played there.
So
Don
I just
Lotzker
thought it was
squad compiled
interesting
11
that
on
he
record.
got
They
to
never won a
experience
national
3
championship.
different great defensive minds. I just wanted to put that out there. That's all.
All right. So next up on the list of people who are coming in, who they've requested to have interviews with, another guy close to the Dolphins for obvious reasons, Kelvin Shepherd, right? Kelvin Shepherd was, he played for the Bills. He was selected by the Bills in the third round in 2011. Played with them for 2 years, went to Indianapolis for a year with the Colts for 13, and then signed with the Dolphins and played for 2014, 15, and 14 and 15. He had a career high 105 tackles in 2015 before moving on to the Giants for 2 more years, and then ended his career in 2018 with none other than the Detroit Lions. Kept a really good connection with the Lions because that's where he's at today. But he got his coaching chops at LSU in 2020 when he was named director of player personnel, replacing Kevin Falk, which is interesting. Then he, in 2021, got hired by the Detroit Lions as their outside linebackers coach, was promoted to their linebackers coach in 2022, and this past season became their defensive coordinator, replacing Aaron Glenn. And their defense suffered mega injuries this year. But by and large, a guy who is making his chops in the NFL from player to coach. Again, I don't see Kelvin Shepherd going anywhere unless they plan on hiring a new defensive coordinator there in the Lions, or if he wants to take his shot on a coaching job. Some of these guys are going to get jobs. Again, there's still 8 teams out there that need coaches. But to me, I think it'd be best for him to stay with the Lions one more year. But if the Dolphins do hire him, I can see him just like Jeff Hatley, just like some of these other guys, where they're not even that are setting him up for failure. And that, again, I'm all here for it. If you want to do the lame duck coach, the inorganic tanking, because there's plenty of teams that tank and they get away with it, but that's because they hire a coach that's underqualified, put him with a staff that's on a skeleton crew, and give him a terrible cap situation and a bunch of players who are disinterested. So it's pretty easy to do it, but I just don't see him as a guy who could put together the whole program, right? Now, next up, the final guy who they have confirmed that they've given asked to have coaching interviews with. Easy connections here with this guy, as you guys all know, Chris Shula. So Chris Shula, it's a little bit different of a coaching thing, because honestly, for as much as he's been around and involved in coaching, and obviously the son of the great Don and all that stuff, he hasn't bounced around quite a bit. He started in 2015 as a defensive quality control coach, doing film analysis and scouting and stuff like that. In 2015, 2016, with the San Diego Chargers at the time. That was the San Diego Chargers before the team moved. And since then, getting involved with the Rams from 2017 to now, starting with humble beginnings as the assistant linebacker coach in 2017, 2018. 2019 through 2020, he became the outside linebackers head coach. 2021, that's when they had their victory Super Bowl over the Cincinnati Bengals. 2022, they moved into pass game coordinator and DB's coach. 2023 pass rush coordinator and linebackers coach, and then 2024 and to now he's been promoted as the DC. And the Rams have been, one of the top defenses under his tenure. I mean, it's a good team, but let's not act like he wasn't in charge of rebuilding a Aaron Donald-less Rams and got them back to predominance. I would say, the pedigree's there, the connections are there. He's young. He's still, I think he's like, 38, 39? Yeah, he's 39 years old. Young guy still. I would be interested. To me, Clint Kubiak and Chris Shula, first-time head coaches, 1A, 1B. I don't think you could sway me on one way for the other with any argument on why the other deserves it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't be mad. If you're going to hire a first-time head coach, I'd rather swing for the fences on a couple of pedigree young guys, right? Clint Kubiak, Chris Shula, couple of long pedigree guys. I would be interested in either one of those names coming down the pike as far as a head coaching chance. And now here's the thing, right? Like, I don't know if Stefanski gets a job or one of these dudes gets a job. Does the other come here as an offensive or defensive coordinating thing? I don't know. It is interesting to keep in mind as, there's a couple of names, like I said, that I went through a lot of names that we haven't talked about yet. Raheem Morris, there's, what else was there? There's a bunch of guys, right? There's a lot, Mike McCarthy, I don't know if these are any of the names, none of them, which, I'm all excited about. The only name left out there that I would be beside myself in excitement would be Mike Tomlin. That's it. The rest of these guys, I don't see Stefanski as an immediate clear-cut upgrade over what we just fired and left in Mike McDaniel.
There is one other one, though.
What?
And he hasn't been fired yet, but for whatever reason, he's been rumored to be fired like a lot.
I know you're talking about LaFleur.
Sirianni.
Oh, Nick Sirianni? He's not.
Yeah, would you take him? Would you consider him at least? Consider.
I would not. I mean, sure, why not? But not really, because I don't think he's going to get fired. I'm not even looking in that direction. But we didn't think Tomlin and Harbaugh would be both fired. I mean, they were rumored, but we didn't think they would both be fired. We always thought it was be one or the other. There is one question I have about the Shula guy. Ooh,
Larry
K says he's got intel on that, on the Sirianni Eagles thing.
Oh, who said that?
Larry K says he's got a little intel on the Sirianni and the Eagles. He'll have it on Monday.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on, man. That would be interesting, Larry K. If you could divulge that. Okay. Chris Shula, you said he's a coordinator, right? Special teams?
Defense. DC.
Oh, he's a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question is this, because I don't think he would come as a defensive coordinator to us. But let's say we hired Kubiak, if that's the route we go. Would you hire him as an assistant head coach, which is a promotion over a coordinator position?
I would love that. Yeah. Are you kidding me? If we had hired Kubiak as our head coach and Chris Shula as the assistant head coach and coordinator, that would be awesome. I would love that. Kidding me?
That would be my plan, to get both of them somehow.
I'm about any of that stuff, right? I'm about any.
If you think about it, we mentioned how connected Gary Kubiak, or what's his name, Kubiak is. You know what I'm talking about?
Kubiak, yeah.
Shula, regardless of Don, may he rest in peace. But you think about all of Shula's sons that have coached before, have been a head coach before. You know what I mean? He could really rely on them for information or tips and stuff like that. I like people that are connected, not just with people they've worked with, but also living in a football family. Because let's be real, the Shulas are a football family. So are the Kubiaks. I like that in having that kind of heritage. If it were me picking somebody, I think that counts for something. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. Again, dude, like you could see, we just went through all these guys' names, and the circles crossover of their, who knows who and who coached with who, and the overlapping time. It's not. I get that there's only 32 of these jobs, right? And the guys in coaching careers and who coaches with whom and who knows what, and hey, they say, hey, if I ever get a DC job, I'm gonna come a calling for you. If I get a head coaching job, I'll make sure you're my DC. Well, guess what? That shit happens. It's a boys' club. These guys know each other, and when you're talking about lineage, for the last 40, 50 years with Don and Kubiak, right? Like let's call it what it is. These boys have a little bit of pull around here. They're gonna get a little extra. And say what you want. You could say it's unfair, but I don't give a shit. But to me, there's some interesting characters as far as first time candidates. On the flip side, there's only one coach that I want, and I don't. If you gave me Stefanski, Shula, and Kubiak, I don't see one better hire over the other. Personally, I would say Mike Tomlin's in a tier above all those to himself. People want to put Stefanski as a higher, more valued hire than the other, than Kubiak or Shula. And I can agree with the fact that, yeah, it'd be something different. It wouldn't be a first-time head coach here in Miami for the first time, and I can't remember when. But I don't know how much beyond, what is he going to hire a bunch of people he knew back in Cleveland that failed and bring them here? I don't know. Again, just a weird situation. Plus, I think Stefanski's fielding offers from other teams that, if the Titans don't get, Mike Tomlin, I don't see why they wouldn't go with a Stefanski or something to that. Maybe they hired Dayball. I don't know. But there is some interesting things about that. Just a couple more things I have to go over here real quick. So new general manager, John Eric Sullivan, they put like a little hype video out for it. Shout out to the homie Night Wolf, sent it to me. I'm gonna pull it up and play it for you guys. I get it. It's schmooze season. This is what the Dolphins do. They love to whatever. Here, just listen.
I think what excites me most is the opportunity to bring a proven process to the Miami Dolphins to build a winner. I think to go to work with a lot of really good people every day and build a team that will become the standard of excellence and chase championships for years to come. Build a tough, physical, talented team that's resilient and can thrive in any situation, any element, and win. I have a lot of love and appreciation for this place, and it's important to myself and all the people that come to work here every day to build you a winner and something you can be proud of.
How would you describe your football philosophy briefly?
Win.
Okay, saying the right things, obviously, obviously, but I find it super interesting, a bold claim by him. Now, listen, it's right at the beginning. If you weren't paying attention, you could have missed it. Listen to this.
I think what excites me most is the opportunity to bring a proven process to the Miami Dolphins to build a winner.
What excites me the most is to bring a proven process here to Miami to build a winner. A proven process. This man is saying he not only knows what ingredients to buy, but he knows the recipes to do it. That's what he's saying. This guy is saying, I have a proven winning recipe. Bold claims by the new general manager here in Miami. Extremely bold. I will be holding on to this and judging his proven process. He goes ahead and gets a Cam Smith in the second round. I'm going to say, what part of your proven process said to get him? Shout out to Cam Smith, who's now at the USFL. getting his second shot at his dream of being a football player, going to play in the USFL. God, what a freaking mistake of a pick that was.
So this question, real quick.
Yeah, please.
How long was Sullivan at Green Bay for? Can we look that
God,
up real
he was
quick?
there. Yeah, he was there for like 14 years or something. Let me look at it.
Yeah, look at the year that he started there. I'm just curious about one thing, because the fact that he said that, there might be an argument to prove his point.
Let me all right, we got it here. So he's been with the Green Bay Packers his entire career in the NFL. In 2003, Sullivan, well, here,
Since
let's go ahead.
2003, right?
Yeah, since 2003. He played football in college as a wide receiver. He missed football. He was also a student assistant and wide receivers coach at Gardner Webb, where he went to school. And then, loved it so much in 2003, got hired with the Green Bay Packers. It became a training camp intern. The following year, the Packers hired him as an employee of the football operations department. He spent several years as the Packers scouting department, representing the NFL scouting combine. In 2008, he became a scout for the Central Plains region. After 4 seasons in that role, he became the Southeastern region, which is the one everybody wants. Let me tell you guys this now. If someone is a scout, the golden job is to get the Southeast region. I don't know if you guys know this or not. I know a couple people have done it. You get put here, you get put there. It's harder to find people and talent and stuff like that. It's obvious for obvious reasons. The Southeast region of America has more football. A position he remained until 2015. In 2016, he was promoted to director of college scouting, which is pretty crazy. In 6 years' time, he went from being a guy who was doing the Central Plains region, which is pretty much the last one you want to. Then in 6 years, he moved all the way up to, 8 years, he moved all the way up to being the director of all scouting. Then in 2018, he was promoted to co-director of player personnel alongside the GM. In 2022, he was promoted to vice president of player personnel, and that's where he stayed all the way up until he took the job with the Dolphins. He did interview with the Titans. He interviewed with the Raiders. He interviewed with the Jets, and he got hired with the Dolphins. So
let's actually talk about why this makes sense. You ready for this? Yeah. So let me tell you why it makes sense. We're talking about a guy that watched the transition from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, right? Who then led his team to a Super Bowl win in 2010. And then it even became MVP a couple years later. I think there's multiple MVPs with Aaron Rodgers, but I could be wrong about that. And then he was the main contributor to the transition from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. And look at Jordan Love. He's won a playoff game. He's, played good enough to, get his contract. And to be fair, he's not a bad quarterback. He's much better than what we've had. So if you look over the years, the Packers have always been competitive, and they win more so than we do. So I kind of agree with him. Knowing that fact, at this point, he's been with an organization that on 2 occasions, right, have picked the right quarterback back-to-back seasons or back-to-back eras. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of with it, to be honest.
I mean, look, if you're telling me this guy's going to come in here, he's going to make the right pick at quarterback, and he's going to be so good that when it's time to get another quarterback, he's going to get that guy too. I would be ecstatic. Let's see. Let's pump the brakes. But listen, saying he has a proven record. Remember now, he's with the Green Bay Packers, who I can't ever remember, at least in my lifetime, the Green Bay Packers ever being a bad organization at all, ever. The Dolphins,
Yeah.
I can't remember a time as an adult, and this means like old enough to go to war and buy cigarettes at 18. Has the Dolphins been a good organization? Okay. So, that's the facts. You can, this proven method might not be so proven when he comes here to Miami and finds the variables are extremely different, not just with the players, not just with the scouting, but dealing with the upper management we have here in Miami. That's the facts.
Yeah.
So, to
Yeah.
me, this proven method, what a bold statement. I like the freaking cojones on homie, right? He's stepping out. He's saying, well, I got the proof, bitch. I got the pudding. All right, okay, dog. Let's do it. So
But to be
that's
fair though, this is one thing you're not putting into it. All right. Unlike any other team in the NFL and how they conduct business, the Packers actually work with a collective altogether, right? They have a
that's true.
collective built into their whole
Touche.
team because they're
Touche.
owned by the city, right? They don't just sign people willy-nilly and make trades and all that stuff. They have to have like a voting process between a certain amount of people on their team. So he's used to that, to be 100% honest. And number two, I think that's what they're trying to put down, is the fact that he comes from that type of culture, right? And he's used to working with the collective. I think that's why they loved him so much, because they know he can maybe get on board, or on top of it, he can try to make them understand that they need to get on board with him too. I think it's a
Ali, I
two-way
gotta be
street with
honest.
that type
I
of.
haven't I
Go
haven't
ahead.
heard anyone put that take on him knowing how to deal with a collective. I think that is an incredible insight and a take by you. I think you should champion that. I think you should shout that from the mountaintops that this guy knows how to. I'm gonna help. I'm pushing your narrative now, Ali. I'm about it. I think you're right. I think if there was ever a more qualified guy we're not getting Harbaugh. So
No, we're not.
the collective pivoted and said, let's get the most qualified guy that we think that can do this job. And to be real, I don't know of another GM coming from anywhere that knows any more of how to deal with the collectiveness of a friggin' of an organization more than probably this guy, to John Eric Sullivan. So
Yeah,
honestly,
and they win too. That's the thing. Not
yeah,
only is a
not just know about it,
overqualified
but know
guy.
how to navigate it with plus money.
Yeah,
Excellent.
definitely. So
Excellent.
now we just need to see how well he does managing our books. We need to get that straight,
Well,
and then we can
I
really
think
start to evaluate him.
Brandon Beal's going to handle the books, and I don't think he's ever been a big problem handling the books personally. I think there was some problems with how they navigated contracts, and they figured, okay, fine, we're going to sign these guys, and we're going to pay for it all in these 2 years. And if it don't work, you're losing your fucking job, and we're blowing it up in those 2 years too. And that's kind of where we're at. Where we go on the next go round, you're right. I will be interested to see how he signs, but most importantly is if he's going to do it with this formula. The formula is pretty simple. You scout, you target,
Yeah.
you have contingencies for the guys you target that, like, oh yeah, I miss out on this guy. Well, then I want this guy. Well, I need linebackers. I'm scouting for linebackers. I have my top linebackers, right? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the gap between the guy I want the most and the guy I want second most is so far that I got to go, well, my second need is guards. You know what I'm saying? And know where that guy fits in at and make the right
Yeah.
picks. It's hard to do, but if this guy's saying he could do it, if he wants to build it the right way and the proven way is through the damn draft and then signing the guys early and or getting rid of them early. That's the key. The key in the NFL is either you sign a guy early or you get rid of him early. What you don't do is wait, right? Unless you
Yeah.
should wait on the big. You know who you wait on? You wait on a superstar wide receiver that's going to want top tier money. You know who you wait on? A fucking quarterback that you don't know if is going to be good or not healthy anymore. Those are the ones you wait on. And then also you wisely create competition and or contingency plans. Now you could say, oh, they're not treating the player right and they're not nice to him because they did this. Well, I don't give a damn about niceties. I don't. I care about dubs. And if that's what he's talking about bringing, that's what he said. He cares about winning. He goes, how do you do it? He goes, win. That's what fuck. I don't give a shit. All right, we'll see. I do. I'll tell you what, John Eric Sullivan has grown on me thanks to you, Ali. And you alone.
You're welcome. One last tidbit real quick.
Alone.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But one last tidbit real quick on Sullivan, real quick. Just for our audience sake, because I was talking to somebody the other day and, they're kind of worried, oh, this guy's going to have to learn about all the players and all that. The fact that this guy has a extensive, and we'll say extensive scouting background, right? And you said it yourself. He was a scout in the Southeast region, right? When you have that type of background and specialty you never stop scouting. You have guys that are scouting for you consistently. You got that Rolodex, if you want to call it, or your cell phone that you have numbers and say, hey, I need a guy. That's the guy. You know what I mean? He is very well connected in scouting, and I think that is something that I've been banging the table for because I had an issue with our player evaluation over the past several years, and I think this guy is going to fix some of those issues. That's my thought.
From your mouth to God's ears, buddy. All right, the final thing we're going to talk about here, and we're about to close it up, but I just found this interesting. Darren Waller spoke on the Mike McDaniel firing, and this is what he had to say. He was on the Glory Days podcast. That's with Johnny Manziel. So here's Johnny Manziel talking to Darren Waller. Couple of interesting guys. Would have been fun to go party with those guys a couple of years ago, but whatever.
Yeah, wild year front to back. I mean, I was at the scene of the crime, bro. I think I was the last person that saw him before he got fired, bro. Like, my exit meeting was that Thursday morning from 9:30 to 10. So I get there for my exit meeting, and we're talking for like 10 minutes, and he's like, yeah, like, definitely want you back next year. And we're just like reflecting on the year and things that he was thinking about doing different in the upcoming year. And then Stephen Ross kicked the door in at like 9:42. And he comes in and like joins the conversation. We're just all talking, reflecting on the year. And Stephen Ross is like, well, you back next year? Is that the third? And then the conversation kind of hits a lull, and I'm sitting across the desk from Mike, and Stephen Ross is standing there just kind of looking at me like,
it's time for you to get the hell out.
I looked at Mike. He was like, we'll finish this conversation later, because I didn't know they had the GM search was in full flow. I didn't know what they had big business talk about. Like, we already really done here. We just powwowing. And so I go out the meeting, I go downstairs and get a massage. I come up from the massage, check my phone, he's fired. I'm like, damn,
Wow.
like, this shit cold for real.
I guess.
Crazy. So, yeah, guys, Mike McDaniel, I think Mike McDaniel's going to get a head coaching job personally. I think he should. And I think we'll be watching him from afar, thinking about what we shouldn't have done. Now, listen, this John Eric Sullivan gets his head coaching hire, right? Or they go ahead and just default to a losing season and do one of these weird 3-win seasons with a guy. I don't know, the guy he already knows from Green Bay, the John Halfley guy. That would make a sense to me as well. But if they go, oh, we're bringing in Robert Saleh, we're going to get it right, and it fails, I'm going to burn Rome to the ground. So, all right, guys, I appreciate everybody coming. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, subscribe it. Make sure to check out Ali on 4th and 10U doing his thing. Make sure to check out Tonk, who's going to be in and out of here. Shout out to Color. I know Color said he's going to be trying to do some shows here. And we'll see you guys next time. Fins up.